Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for coming. You know, it's been a rough time for Sony. They had pushback for increasing prices on consoles. They almost caused an online apocalypse of everyone thinking that Sony required games to always be online, or you just have your license revoked. And now, with the Sony's earning report, it shows that they've racked up a $765 million in impairment losses against Bungie. I know, it's pretty wild. Now, just to help some people kind of understand what does this mean, imagine Sony buying a brand new Lambo for $3.6 billion. They drive off the car lot, and immediately the value of the Lambo drops to the point that the homeless guy you just drove past, yeah, his cart has more value than that Lambo does. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, let's get started with the show.
Live from some basement, it's the Gamin News Show with your host, Mr.
GC. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Something Something Gamin News Show, where we talk about all things gaming. Obviously, the main news today is covering that Sony earning call that has everyone lit a buzz. Because, boy, oh boy, is this a masterclass in how to present bullshit. Now, I have seen some professionals pull things out of their ass before, but Sony takes the cake. They pulled the entire Alaskan gas pipeline out for this one. Holy crap. Sony CFO Lin Tao admitted earnings from Bungie didn't meet expectations, saying, "In our studio's business, earnings from Bungie's title portfolio did not reach our expectations, so we downwardly revised the business plan and impaired the full amount of fixed assets related to Bungie." Translation: Bungie didn't deliver, so we wrote the whole studio off like an unwanted stepchild. Turns out the real value was a giant tax write-off. You know what's really funny about all this? This comes after Jim Ryan in 2023 had this to say about the $36 billion Bungie deal, saying it can give us more than the $69 billion Activision buyouts. You know, I guess when Jim said way more, I think he just meant way more in the red. Yeah, it's in the red. It's more. It's just in the red, you know? Now, Lin Tao also talked about Marathon, stating, "Player reception to Marathon is strong, receiving a Metacritic score of 82 and more than 90% of the player reviews on Steam being positive." Now, why does this sound like a statement you would find on Twitter? Oh shit. Sony really just used statements found on Twitter by some of these Bungie bro accounts. It's one thing to see, you know, these weirdos try to gaslight people, but Sony straight up said, "Bet, let's use Twitter lingo to gaslight our shareholders." And it worked. The shareholders are actually as retarded as the Bungie bros on Twitter. If people are this easy to gaslight, I need to go and run my own company then. So like, no one at the shareholder meeting wanting to ask those meaningful questions like, Mrs. Tao, what about the copies sold? Marathon currently has a Metacritic score of 82 that we totally didn't pay reviewers for. That didn't answer my question. But what about the total player counts? You know, that are actually playing the game? Can you answer that? We currently have a 90% positive player reviews on Marathon. Marathon is doing great. You mentioned Steam. What about PlayStation? There's more people playing PlayStation since Marathon is a PlayStation first title, right? Right? Oh, don't worry. Lin Tao's statements get even better. She cooks with straight gas in these statements. She goes to say engagement metrics such as retention also remains at a high level. So, is the high retention among us anywhere? Anyone? Hi. Oh, Tenla must be talking about like Steam DB and Steam charts for Marathon are at an all high retention level. There's more people looking at Marathon population charts than there is an actual Marathon population. Who would have thought? See, this is why people look at charts in the first place, because you can never expect a billion-dollar company to actually be honest with you, especially when you have data that immediately debunks their statement. But, you know, to be fair, let's take a look and see what Marathon retention actually looks like. Let's see for ourselves. Everything's completely fine. I don't see anything wrong. Do you see anything wrong? I think retention's fine. Now, Lintel finishes the Marathon segment by saying, going forward, we aim to improve the performance of the game by working to retain highly engaged core users throughout the introduction of additional content, further improvements in the gameplay experience, and the expansion of the user base. Translation: look, the 19 dudes still Marathon Discard are getting a new map eventually. We'll just keep praying that the rest of humanity finally shows up before the server shut down. Sony really looked at Marathon and said, I can fix her. Which is funny because they couldn't even fix Concord, their own $400 million failure, ironically, which had some Bungie devs working on that team. Sony bought Bungie for $3.6 billion for their live service knowledge and consultation. And every game Bungie is consulted on has ended in failure. Not only that, but Sony didn't just buy a single dying IP for $3.6 billion. They bought 2 dying IPs. Funny enough, the first dying IP has more players than the brand new dying IP, yet Sony thinks they can expand the user base. Maybe if you gave a couple of PlayStations to some meth heads, that would expand something. Now, I know there's going to be people saying, it's illegal to lie to shareholders. Oh, you poor summer child. How naive you are about the corporate world. If you really think billion-dollar companies play by your rules, boy, do I want the weed that you're smoking. You know, I'm wondering, where is Sony getting all these analysis from in regards to the state of Marathon? What'd they do? Just find some random dude on Twitter who thinks he's some kind of analyst and take what he said for fact? Oh my God, you actually did. And a failed analyst at that. Holy shit. Now, if you were wondering if Sony actually took the time to mention Destiny anywhere in these calls, nope. Just like Bungie, Sony forgot that IP exists. Unwanted stepchild confirmed. Which begs the question, if Bungie's value has tanked, then that means Marathon and Destiny has cost Sony to lose money, right? Well, yeah. If Marathon and Destiny, you know, the only 2 IPs that Bungie have, were doing great financially, don't you think the value of the company would, you know, not drop faster than the Marathon player count? No. Not only that, but both Bungie and Sony would be glazing by saying how well the game sold and how many people were playing the game. Instead, we're here talking about Metacritic reviews and Steam ratings. You've got Capcom out here showing and posting how Resident Evil had massive sales-wise, and Sony's over here like, but guys, look at our Steam reviews. They're so high, 90% Steam reviews. Best game ever. We're doing great. Marathon's fine. We're fine here. Now, we also know that Sony's gaming operation income increased by 12%, a record of 463.3 billion yen. And no, I'm not translating what that cost. And if you are like me and you're wondering how, well, per Sony themselves, strong network service revenue, favorable foreign exchange rates, and high sales of third-party software. Wait. You're telling me they saw a 12% increase and part of that was because of third-party software? Sony had to rely on other developers to make third-party games that would actually make sales on their console? Damn, that's tragic. They didn't even make money on their own consoles. In fact, Sony noted a decline in console sales by 46%. Totally doesn't have to do with Sony boosting the price of a PS5 to almost $1,000. Nah, you weren't, nah. You know, it's funny, I went to a GameStop to trade in my PlayStation 5, And usually when you try to sell anything at GameStop, they look at you and go, yeah, I think the best I can do is $20 for you. But this time around, I walk into the GameStop and they got like the red carpet all lined up for me, and they're waiting for me to sell my PlayStation 5. And I'm like, I want to sell this. And they're like, yeah, we'll give you the original retail price for that. Huh? I'm sorry, did I hear you? Yeah. PlayStation cracked the prices up so damn high, even GameStop is being forced to give you a decent buyout rate. Hell, prices for anything PlayStation is so damn high. Just the other day, I finished playing some Destiny 1 and I went out for a walk. I put my controller in my pocket, forgetting about it, you know. And then some dude out in the street jumps me, demands I show him my valuables. So I show him my wallet and the PlayStation controller, and he takes the PlayStation controller and runs away, leaving my wallet. You know, we've been shitting on PlayStation for a minute. What about Xbox? Well, they haven't had much of a good time either. They even had to go as far as to rebrand themselves, including their logo, which actually looks like an Xbox logo. They also want to return to the core, maintaining an Xbox console experience. You know, the reason people decide to buy a console in the first place? Yeah, Microsoft finally decided it was time to give people a reason to actually buy their console. Woo! They've also decided to drop their AI projects, which, you know, I figured that was probably going to happen. Most people don't want AI at this day and age. And they're going to decrease the Game Pass prices. All in all, they're actually trying to cater to the consumers by giving them what they want. Huh, what an interesting tactic to get people to buy your stuff. What about Sony? Well, we have a live interview with Sony CEO Hiroki Totaki. I think I said that wrong. My bad. Here's a clip with that interview. Well, I'm glad he's doing good for himself. You know, talking about doing good, we have Nintendo in the news. That's right. Apparently, you can do anything wrong. You can sell slop. You can increase prices of your consoles. You can overcharge video games, and people will throw money at you still. If there is ever a company that you should strive to work for, it's Nintendo. It was finally reported that Nintendo's port of the 12 to 15 years old Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green, which was being upcharged at $20, made over $80 million in revenue from over 4 million copies sold within their first 6 weeks of release. You know, we could talk about Sony and Xbox, but Nintendo fans are just another breed that I don't know if there's any way to fix that amount of stupid. It's just that easy. Overcharge or ROM port, you can get free on pretty much any device, including the Switch itself. Hell, you can even download the Pokemon Leaf Green ROM hacks, even in prison. Even Nintendo is increasing those prices on their consoles. But Nintendo President Shintaro Fukurakwa, I'm saying it wrong, sorry again, has apologized to customers for those Switch 2 prices increases. Fukurakwa said, "We sincerely apologize to our customers for the considerable inconvenience and trouble this will cause. While we want to prioritize wide adoption, it was challenging to bear the rising cost over a long period. The new pricing does not fully account for all cost increases." You know, you gotta love the little tidbit at the end, does not account for the full cost. That's a funny way of saying we might increase prices further because it's challenging for a billion-dollar company that just made $80 million off a digital Pokemon emulator to continue to deal with the rising cost. To help justify for that high price, Fukurakwa promised a strong software response, stating, "We will prepare a robust software lineup to enhance the Switch 2 ownership value. We will work diligently to overcome this barrier." strong software response. What does that even mean? Is the Switch 2 going to get an update that suddenly starts sucking my dick? We're gonna get 8K resolution of 240 frames. Like, what is being responded to here in this situation? This is an American Canada only benefit, or are other people playing with the console getting to enjoy these responses as well? Anyway, this show's a little short this week. We'll see you guys in the next something gaming news show. I appreciate you. Let me know in the comments down below what kind of things you would like to see in the show. This is about news, so throw your ideas at me and you might see it incorporated in the next video. As always, don't forget to be gaming out, and I will see you guys in the next one. As always, Zah.